the name of my agency, although I'm a part of Unitrust and there's no other place for me to be, Unitrust and InsurTech. I know that hands up, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt. But the name of my company is Ruby Financial and Insurance Agency. And so that came about because Ruby is my maiden name. I was one of 5 growing up, second oldest. When my parents divorced, my sister was already off of college, my mom fell apart. And so I'm in high school taking care of 3 little ones and, and trying to work and, just put meals on the table, make sure they have their lunches, laundry's done, all of those things. And my dad and I were estranged for a short while. And my ex-husband at the time, my first husband, said, you know what, Linda, he's always going to be your dad. You've got to fix it. And he came from a great Italian background, and growing up, there was so much tension a lot of times in my house that I didn't really understand at that time how important family was. And so made amends with my dad. My dad was great. He'd call every week. I wouldn't take his call. It went on for like 2 years. And finally I'm like, all right, I'm ready, right? So, and we know that, the best way to connect with somebody is to meet them where they are, right? So I ended up, thank God, reconnecting with my dad, because I was daddy's little girl growing up. We did everything together. I wanted a horse. He bought me a horse, and that was something we did together. I was real involved in the Explorers when I was in high school. So I would speak at his Kiwanis Club and things like that. And I just so much love the business aspects. So I wanted to get into work and business right away. So I was a teacher for a while in the same technical school that I went to in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Then got out into the work field. And then at the age of 31, I'd had a mortgage company for about 5 years. I had a partner that did some not so honest things. And so I left and wasn't able to get a job because I was associated with the name of this company. So lost my car. I hawked my old wedding band to make rent, but I never ever gave up. And at the age of 31, I'm riding a bicycle to the Hyatt at Gainey Ranch for a cocktail waitress job. And I will say I just knew that there was something else out for me. And so slowly I just built myself back up again to where I was in hospitality. I've spent over 20 years in hospitality, done things like director of sales and marketing, VP of sales and marketing, a general manager of a small boutique-ish, beautiful hotel in Scottsdale, Arizona. But of course, we know what happened when COVID hit. And I was at the corporate level at that time, making really good money. When COVID hit, I lost my job. And I always say that, my husband, Larry, my current and only last to be husband, is he was my first blessing. And the second blessing was the fact that I lost my job, because it gave us time, first of all, to just have some time together. But it also allowed me, after being so entrenched in hospitality for so many years, to get really clear on what my next adventure would be, what I could do for the rest of my life. And so I knew 3 things, Pablo. I knew I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I wanted to be able to work from home if that was an option. But I also wanted to be able to replace my 6-figure corporate income and not hit that glass ceiling anymore. So I knew that I had everything inside of me to be able to do all of that. And it was really about understanding and finding that right position. And so it took me a while, because I just didn't want to take a job to take a job. I wanted to keep myself open for when this opportunity would happen. And I, just like a lot of people that we're talking to now, I found the position on Indeed. I watched a video with Pete about what it was all about. And the message at the end was, we're looking for leaders that come from a place of gratitude and want to be in service. And you can tell just in my voice right now that still speaks to my heart. And that's what I love about Unitrust, is because there's no hidden agendas. It's all laid out for what we need and what we want to do, and step by step. And for me, it was blind faith, because I'm thinking, all right, I'm in my early 60s at the time, and this is my last shot at whatever it's going to be. but I still had a lot, and I still have a lot to give. So I said, all right, you know what? I don't know anything about insurance, but I do know I've got great people skills. And if you'll show me what to do, I'll do it. And I think from that point, the rest is history. And it's so, as I said in the beginning, you know what? My feet are planted firmly with this organization, with this company. And it's my responsibility, I feel now, to allow people to know what the potential is out there and what they can have if they want it, if they're willing to follow along and work for it.
Well, I love hearing that story. And Linda, I appreciate you sharing that. And it was interesting. Myself, and I feel like so many in this industry too, and maybe that's a common thread. We need to start looking for it, is the desire to serve. But then people that were in mortgages or are in mortgages,
Yes.
and then even went into hospitality, because clearly you wanted to serve. You went into hospitality.
Yeah.
And I love the touching story of kind of the story with you and your father. Right. I feel like as business owners, right, as an agency owner, or even if you're just a top producer, right, anyone listening in, we are a father and a mother to our partners, right,
Yes.
to those that are on our team.
Yeah.
So sometimes we got to share hard messages, right? But a good parent is not gonna not share it, right? Is gonna have that conversation with them, but always do it in a loving way. And you've always kind of come off that way, Linda, and I really appreciate you you sharing that. Do you have some stories? Here's really one of the main reasons I wanted to start this podcast, was to get great content to anyone listening in, right? The agency owners and the business owners that are listening to this. But really, one thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to connect the world of, yes, business ownership, but also the fact that there are real like stories at the core of what we do and who we serve. Is there any particular story that you'd like to share from either maybe a client you may have helped, or even maybe somebody that was on your team, that there was some kind of transformative power and effect that you think needs to be known versus just the coffee shop talk, right? That needs to go beyond that.
You know, that's such a great question. And really, two clients came to mind when you said that. And one is a gentleman that a couple I was able to help last night. Beautiful couple, been married 47 years, and both, military. And he was real concerned about his wife, but he didn't really like what he heard in the beginning, because he thought that he could get more coverage than what he could based on everything that he sees, in the mail, and what you see on television with the different insurance companies and things. So it was really for me about just being able to help them understand that when that time happens, and this is where I say, I'm blessed to be in this noble profession, because I might be the only person that's willing to take the time to educate them about how this insurance can help them on that worst day of their life. Mm. And so it was really interesting, because he was so, no, I have to have all or nothing. And I said, does it make sense that, obviously if you have all, it's going to be as much as your mortgage payment. That's not real, smart. And I'm not here to tell you how to spend your money, but does it make sense to maybe just cover a year's worth of mortgage payments, just 12 months, because the bank doesn't care whether you pay the mortgage off or not. In fact, they'd like you to just keep making those mortgage payments, right? Mm-hmm. And so, when you're not here, that your wife still has that money. So she, first of all, can grieve that loss. You guys have been together forever, but then also to have that time to heal before she even has to think about doing business. But that mortgage payment continues to get made. And you could just hear her, and this was all over the phone last night, you could just hear her take a big sigh. And so at the very end, when I'm working with clients, I always ask them, I said, what do you like best about, how do you feel about what we've done today? Mm-hmm. And he said, I feel pretty good. And I said, Janet, you're quiet over there. How do you feel? And she says, I'm relieved. And so to know that, my time, and just by being a good listener, and Pablo, I always try to come from the place of my heart, mm-hmm. Not to, and I kind of think it's funny when people go, well, what are you selling? Like, I'm not selling anything. I'm here just to understand where you are, to see if there's a way that I can help you. And if I can, great. And if I can't, you know what? I just made a new friend in Houston, Texas. And, you know, and they giggle. So that one touched my heart, because he said to me at the end, he said, you know what, Linda, we were dreading having this conversation because we didn't really know what would happen, but thank you. Thank you for your help, and thank you for making it easy. And, you know, and I'm always honored. And I responded back to him, you know what, thank you for allowing me to serve you like you've served me for so many years. So you can see, I mean, it touches my heart. And the other lady, you know what, she's just a beautiful, beautiful woman, young, continues to fight breast cancer. And I was able to put a policy in place for her to where that if anything happens, she has, again, 3 years worth of mortgage payments stocked away so that her nephew can either move into the house or decide what's best to do with the house, but she won't lose any of the equity, or he won't lose any of the equity, which really is a part of the legacy that's created when people are looking up at what do we leave, you know, what are we giving our children? What are we giving our husbands, our wives when we go?
That's wonderful.
So those are two that touched me.
That was a great start. And the one you just shared, you know, so even someone that's struggling with cancer and going through treatments and stuff, there's still hope.
Absolutely.
There's still hope. And I love there's so many things I wanted to talk about with what you just shared. I love the strategy of the mortgage payment, where I think we call it critical period.
Yes.
Talk to us about the advantages that a homeowner can have utilizing this critical period coverage versus whole coverage, right? And I mean, it's a strategy that I feel like is very underused. Homeowners definitely do not know about it.
Right.
And I think there's so many benefits on both sides of the table where you can actually help somebody where otherwise they thought they would have never qualified for anything. Can you share a little bit more about this highly powerful leverage strategy called critical period?
Absolutely. And that really is how I explain it. You know, I let them know. I said, you know, because I'll present 3 options. You know, the first one everybody thinks about, you know, we're going to pay off the full mortgage, right? Everybody thinks about that. But it's not popular because it can be more than what you might have in your budget to spend or want to spend. The second one is if we pay off half of the balance of the mortgage, what that does is allow you pay off half the balance, and then if you refinance, then that monthly payment will be reduced in half and sometimes a little bit more, so you could manage it on your own, who's ever left with the house. But the third one really is what most people do. It's the most popular. It's probably, Pablo, about 80% of my business, 75 to 80% of my business, even for young people, where all we're doing is we're taking care of business during that critical time. And I share with them, you know, in the fancy insurance world, we call it critical period philosophy. But what does that mean? What that means is when something happens, a catastrophic health event, or of course, when death does occur, that's a critical period. So what this does is it allows you to have a smaller policy, but I call it the less is more theory. It's a lesser amount of a policy, but it does so much more. Because what it does is it allows you, first of all, to take a breath. It allows you to breathe. It allows you, if you have to sit in the corner and cry, do it, because you know that this life insurance policy was put in place to make that mortgage payment for 12 months, 24 months, 36 months, whatever it might be, so that you have that time to just be. And most financial planners will tell you with the first 6 months, and if you can take a year, don't make any financial decisions at all. So what this does, it takes that pressure off of that person that you love. It takes that pressure off of yourself when that day does happen, right, so that you can make that right financial decision. And even Miss Janet, when I asked her, I said, well, Janet, what do you think would happen? What will you do when your love life, you know, your man of 47 years is no longer holding your hand? And she said, you know, I said, would you stay in the house or would you sell it? And she said, well, I'd probably sell it and I'd probably go live with my son. I said, so then does it make sense to have a big policy with a big monthly premium investment when you might not even keep the house? Oh, I never thought of it that way. So why not put something in place that just gives you that time to where you can make the best financial decision to keep your house or to sell your house and get that large amount of equity. And usually when you break it into those simple notes like that, all of a sudden, you can kind of hear or see the light bulb come on, and they're like, yeah, oh, I can afford that. Great.
Right.
Let's do that instead.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And it's leverage, really. I mean, right? You think of the big stick that's leveraged on a little wooden log that's trying to move a huge boulder.
Right.
And what we're providing the leverage on that stick that we're able to be able to pay that off, but in a different way. It's the same exact strategy that I used, even for me that wanted to get coverage for my mother, right? My mother who's divorced. And so no one was buying this for her. She didn't even know about it, of course. So, and she wasn't going to just go off and get it on her own. And of course I knew about it. So what did? I turned around, I made sure that, hey, we had, for me and my brothers, right, that we had a year and a half worth of coverage, and then enough for, burial expenses in one plan. And it was so, the cost was reduced significantly by saying, hey, we have to pay off a $200,000 mortgage, for someone who's in their 60s. So that's wonderful. And I think it's important that we share this. And I love that you shared it here, because I don't believe that there's enough avenues or megaphones of people sharing this information for someone that might be listening in and say, oh, I didn't think of that. Maybe I need to talk to my mother. Maybe I need to talk to my spouse, right? And see if we can put something like that in place. So let's shift gears a little bit. Hold on, I made another note, and I do want to go back to it before I shift gears. Let's stay in the same gear.
Okay.
You talked about the first couple that were dreading having the conversation. You used that word twice. You said they were dreading, and they used those words. They used that word.
They did. That's why it hit me so hard.
How many times, Linda, do you think customers are dreading of having the conversations that we have with them, and maybe because of that fear, that maybe they don't show up on a call?
I think it happens a lot. Everyone, and even, I'm never going to die. I mean, I'm invincible. All those things. I've thought that since I was, popped out. But, it's hard to talk about because, first of all, and I get so excited when I do talk to people that, well, this was the way that I was raised, that, death is part of the process and you need to plan for it. But for so many people, I think that death is something that we know happens, but we never want to talk about it. We never want to plan for it. We never want to think about it. So I think because of that, a lot of people don't pick up the phone or don't show up, when I knock on the door, because they just don't know how to talk about it. And so I feel too, that part of my job is just, let's take a deep breath. Let's talk about this today. Because I know you don't do it when you're watching football, right, on Sunday afternoons, having chips and salsa. But let's just do this one time, get it all set up, get it out of the way, and then you don't have to talk about it anymore.
That's right.
You've got everything in place that you need. You know that your family's protected, and you know what? Then go on with your life, because you won't have to think about it later. We've already taken care of it today. And I think a lot of times when they go, oh, well, okay, I still might not want to talk about it too much, but I'm at least willing to engage in some kind of conversation and to listen.
Yeah.
And so then it's just really just kind of starting to understand their situation, who's important to them, what would be lost when that day happens, that you can hopefully help them understand and be willing to have a little more conversation and make a decision.
Yeah, I think I think there are many, far more than we know, and maybe even would care to know, of people that it's not that they don't show up for an appointment because maybe they didn't like us, or maybe they, they weren't that serious about it. It's that I think a lot of them really just feared having a conversation with a stranger that they wouldn't even have with their closest loved ones. Right. And so now all of a sudden it's like, well, who is Linda that I'm going to share some of this information with? And she's probably going to ask me some things that are going to make me feel uncomfortable. Right. So I'm so glad that you're doing this. And I think more people should do this. So if you're an insurance agent, if you're an agency owner and you want your people to be able to relate and connect with people from a broader sense so that they understand that you're a person, just like in the back there, your signs,
Yeah.
person with humility, a person who's about relationships, right? And is responsible with ownership. I think that until we let people know who we are and what we're
Yeah.
about versus what we sell and what we offer, then people will be able to come around and start to realize, oh, you know what? Yeah, I have not had this conversation with my husband. I tear up just thinking about it, but I
Yeah.
feel like Linda might be a person that could understand, connect, and help me put something in place if it makes sense. Yeah. So I would, so anyone listening in, and anyone that's, that's looking for somebody like that, I would say work with Linda,
Thank you.
or find the Linda around you, right?
Mhm.
Wherever you are. Linda, where are you, by the
No,
way?
work with me.
Yeah, I work with
I'm
Linda.
in, I'm in Lincoln, California,
Yeah.
but I'm licensed in over 15 states, and you know what? I'm a phone or a text away. That's
Yeah.
it. Mhm.
But the point is that the voice needs to get out more, right? And so that's why, like, we were talking about social media and all those things and how can it be used, and it's not just used to help us, it's truly used to help others.
Right.
And so thanks for sharing that. Let's go over to ownership. I want to kind of change gears up and talk about I want to talk about the business building side of it, because Linda, you're one of our top producers. You're building a business, you're building an agency, you're building a team, and you've got a goal of wanting to increase all of that. And again, increase not because of numbers, but because of where your heart is and what you really want to do. You want to serve and you want to help people, right? And that's, I think, the greatest leadership lesson that we can learn is fill our cups so that we can overflow and fill others. So talk to me about some of the tools, some of the resources, some of the things that have really help you be set apart from anything else that you've really looked at out there. And how are those things helping you? How are they giving you an advantage?
Well, I think that the biggest thing, as far as when you talk about tools, it's the leadership. Pete and Brandon, Kara Miller, our director of recruitment, director of agency development, I think is her official title. They're so good at what they do. And, I think both of us learned a long time ago, if we don't know the answer ourselves, know who to go to get that answer. And so I lean on them a lot to make sure that as I'm out there looking for new agents, that I'm looking in the right areas, that I'm being responsive in the right ways. So tools like, what kind of email should I be sending, or what does an ad look like if I'm placing an ad somewhere? How many ads do I need to generate the kind of momentum and interest that I have in my agency? And then once someone comes on board, it's all about then introducing them to Pete, Brandon, to Tom Brown, our national director of sales as well, so that they know that, there is, what is it? It takes a village, right? And so we have our own Unit Trust InsurTech Village, which is right there at your fingertips if you want it. And with the tools of our 7-step training, and I tell everyone, if you just follow the steps, do what we say, be coachable and trainable, you can't help but have success. You can do a zillion things wrong, but if you just keep stepping along, you're going to have success. And so it's really, and especially you mentioned, being in service right now. And we talked the other day about coaching and training and really, coaching people about insurance, but coaching people about how they can be successful in the insurance industry. And I think as I'm able to help people look at the insurance industry differently by what kind of service that offers, it's not just selling a policy and walking away. It's selling a policy that protects everything that's near and dear to that family. That we have to have car insurance, we have to have health insurance, homeowners insurance, all of those things. Life insurance is an option, but I think what people don't realize is that it shouldn't be an option. It should be something that they want. So knowing, again, as I'm building and bringing people into the Unit Trust family, there's a company culture here that I've never found anywhere in my corporate world. to have a direct line, to know that I can pick up the phone and call Pete Beckman, Brandon Hall, CEO and co-owners of Unitrust and InsurTech, and they'll take my call and right away, okay, Linda, what do you need? How can I help you? That makes me a stronger leader as well, so that I can be available for my agents. And so, that's my commitment to all my agents, that I'm there when they need them, when they need me, and just helping them grow and being on that fast track. And that's the other thing that I love about what we have as far as our training, is because it's truly a fast track to get you where you want to be. So even if you're coming from a world where you have a salary, you can replace that salary within the first month if you just follow the steps and do what you're coached.
It's so true. It's so true. And so let's dive in, and these are, I want to look at a little bit more of the practical of what you're doing, how Linda is affected and how she's more effective throughout her day. So, right. So we have a lot of technology that the founders of the company have poured into and continue to do that and continue to improve it. And, technology is always changing. And Pete and Brandon are just doing a heck of a job of always kind of being on top of that. Talk to us about how technology, I was going to say how it's made you better, but in your previous world, maybe you didn't use technology as much, but talk to us about how technology, for a fact, is helping you now be more efficient and effective as a producer and a business owner.
Well, I think the biggest thing and the first thing that jumps to my mind about the technology that the founders have put in place for us is the fact that you have everything at your fingertips to be an effective business owner, not just to be a business owner, but to be an effective and productive business owner. So I can track at any point in my day what my agents are doing, how many leads they're taking, what their production looks like, if they have any pending business out there, so I can help them, work with them, find out what's happening so that we can get that taken care of so they can get paid. It shows me my own performance, and it also, there's that great bit of competition because we see what the other leaders and everyone is doing in the agency or in the company. So you can see right there at your fingertips, we've got online training, archives that you can just watch at your leisure to continue to make yourself better. But for me as a business owner, it's really about an agency owner, about making sure that I'm staying up with my agents and looking at that every single day. It's the first thing I do in the morning to see where my business is, so I know where I need to focus for that day, and it's the last thing I look at night. But and I will tell you, Pablo, in my opinion, there is not a technology platform out there that can touch this.
Yeah.
Not one.
And it's all under kind of one roof or one dashboard, like how, because I know even when you're dealing with, as a broker, and you might have multiple carriers and you got to go and find your numbers, not just your own, but your team. You spend hours trying to figure this all out. So you're just like, you know what, I'll let everyone come up with their own reports and I'll just find out on our Monday morning meeting. Right. Talk to me a little bit about that. Like, is it able to be consolidated, or how much time do you spend doing that? Right.
Well, the beautiful part of it is that unlike when I had Excel spreadsheets that I was using to input all my information to keep track of myself and knowing what I was doing and what my monthly, weekly, and daily goals were, I put it into one place. It's called the Dash. So that's catchy. It's easy. It's short. It's called the Dash. I put my production in there every single day, one place. And then it populates into all these other reports. So I don't have to create another report. I don't even have to pull a report. I just push a button to go to that report and I get to see where I am. So that's why I'm saying there's nothing, it's just, and for me, the up until now non-technical girl, I don't have to search around for it either. I mean, it's very easily laid out. If I push a business management report, I know exactly what I'm going to see. If I push a new agent report, I know exactly what I'm going to see. So it's not like I have to hunt around for things and I'm losing precious time, because we know as agency and business owners and anyone, I mean, time is what you have. I mean, time's your commodity. So it's about making the most of that time, and the InsurTech Unitrust platform just allows me to have at my fingertips anything that I want with one-stop shop, really.
It's awesome, Linda.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Hey, so, as we're getting close to the end of our time here, I do want to give you some time to finish out with some words you might have, but I always like to ask this question, right? Because like I would love a Linda on my team, right? If I was an agency owner, I would love an agency partner like a Linda. And I'm sure if you're listening in, you're like, yes, this is the kind of person that I need to find on my team. Linda, you probably are like, hey, I wish I could find other Lindas that are out there, right? The reason I say that is it took you a while to progress to where you're at today, right? You shared your story. But if you only had like 1 minute to share the most important thing in this business with your younger self, 1 minute, what would that be?
Oh, that's a loaded question. But 1 minute, wow. Talking to my younger self, what I would say is recognize the power of you, and not in that, you know what, yeah, you're a big, strong girl, but the power of your touch, the power of your words. My dad taught me that, you know what, I can be whatever I want to be. I could be an astronaut if I wanted. He told me one time, but he always represented integrity, kindness, and hard work. And so, and respect, you know, treating everybody with respect. So knowing that this is an opportunity, and don't think that you're not worthy, because you definitely are worthy of this opportunity, because it allows you to create an amazing life for yourself and your family. And it allows you to help other people do the same. So I would say if anyone is considering a real estate, or excuse me, an insurance, I was thinking, or insurance and real estate, an insurance career, just jump in with both feet and do it. Find that person that you connect with, find a good company that resonates with you, and just go for it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You fall down, you brush off, your partners brush you off, and you get up and you go again. And that's really what I'm looking for when I'm looking for agency builders as well, for people to join my agency. Like-minded individuals that just get it, that understand that, you know what, today I'm going to go out to work and I'm going to help families and I'm going to make a difference. And down the road, I'll be able to go on those vacations, put my feet up, and know that I've done exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I say this a lot to my clients, you know, I believe that God puts us exactly where we're supposed to be. So I'm looking for those people that want to be in that insurance world.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So what's the biggest thing you're looking for, Linda, looking forward to in this next 12 months? What's one thing that you're like, man, if we could get here together, it'd be a wonderful year.
Yeah. You know, my word for the year is relentless. So knowing that, you know, it's really about, just for me, focusing hands down on helping people come into InsurTech and Unitrust and helping them get to where they want to be. I'm looking at doubling what I did last year, possibly even more. And I have a feeling it's going to be more. Growing my agency to where I have 30 agents that are just, you know, just loving what they do. I mean, you can work hard, but if you don't love what you do, in fact, Larry said to me, my husband said to me this morning, he goes, you know what? He goes, what you do isn't easy, but when you help a family, you glow. And so, you know, knowing that I want 30 glowing agents that just go, you know what, hands down, yep, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm willing to do anything I have to make this work for my family and for those that I talk to.
Well, he's a smart man, and he's clearly a lucky man, Linda. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for jumping on with us and sharing some amazing stories, some great insights, and definitely some value. I'm really excited about that. Linda, how can people find you and the Ruby Gems?
Probably the easiest way is Linda at rubyfinancialgrp.com, or you can certainly just call or text me 602-363-0012. Yeah, Pablo, I've had so much fun talking to you today. Thank you so much. Thanks for just allowing me to speak from the heart.
Yeah.
But really, again, to solidify, and I'm going to use that word again, what a noble profession this is, and helping me realize again today, I'm just very blessed to be part of it. So thank you so much.
There you have it. You heard it here first from Linda Lingenfelter. Linda, thank you. She is open for business and she is hiring. Thank you so much, Linda. Take care.
Thanks.
Stay well.
All right. Bye-bye.